Welcome to the Mike and Matt Show. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm good. We're back.
We are back, and we have some special guests for you today. We have Nick DiFederico and Eric Mauz of MB Capital Solutions. We're going to be going over a ton of information. They both have great stories, how they got into real estate and how they also assist real estate investors. And we're going to go over how they can help our real estate investors. I've actually worked with both of you guys. You guys are incredible. So really looking forward to sharing all of this information with our audience today.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have them on today because I think we're going to talk about one of the things that is the hardest part that we hear from our investors about getting deals done, which is getting money to get in the deal.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us. I mean,
thanks, guys.
It's an honor to be here.
Well,
I don't know, is this the
maybe
episode?
we figure out who's talking because remember this is Radio Land.
Gotcha.
So over here to my left, you can't see him unless you're on YouTube.
Yeah.
This is Nick. Nick, say hi.
Hi, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Looking forward to it. Should be awesome.
And then over to Matt's right, if you're watching on YouTube, obviously this makes for great radio. We have Eric.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to creating some value.
Awesome. Eric, I see that you had studied electrical engineering at Drexel University. You now help with unsecured business lines of credit. Electrical engineering at Drexel University.
Say, I love Matt gets real deep on that first question. Like, we're just going to gloss over your entire life.
No, we're going to the beginning.
We're going to go straight to college. Tell us about your electrical engineering degree.
I think it's
first off,
Mike,
alternative financing.
Mike, I'm going to jump you on this one.
You can jump me on.
I want to know how he got into real estate. Before we get to real estate, I saw that you studied at Drexel University, electrical engineer, and you actually used to do project engineering at DuPont. So from there to real estate, if you could share with the audience, how did you get into what you're doing now?
Love it. So in my sophomore year in college, I was introduced to the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Changed my life. A friend for only a few months had sent it over, saw something different in what I was out there doing. As a college student, sent it to me. I read it. I tried to do the mutual fund investing. Way too boring. Did that for a year in college. Tried stocks. Wasn't my thing. And then learned about rental, buy and holds, rental properties, passive income through real estate. And I bought my first property when I was just about a senior at Drexel University and bought it with excess student loan funds. So that's a whole other conversation.
Okay.
But that is how I made it into how I got interested in the real estate world.
Now,
Kiyosaki.
Now, MB Capital. Was MB Capital Solutions always MB Capital, or was there different iterations from the time you got into real estate?
Got it. So, yeah, that's a great question because MB Capital Solutions was created for my real estate fix and flip business with my brother. That's where the MB comes from, Mauz Brother Capital Solutions.
Ah, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
And then as I started to get into this space, which is the unsecured lending space, the business was already created, and it just made sense to use MB Capital. So I shifted. I told my brother, "You're out," and shifted gears. And
I was about to say, Nick's here, and he's obviously not your brother. I was going to say, how did we muscle the brother out of this one?
Yeah, we're an honorary brother. And become an honorary Mauz, seems like, over the past couple of years.
Oh, man.
So, all right, so Mauz Brothers, that's what MB stands for. I've always wanted to know.
Yeah, Money Boys.
They're gonna be going through a potential rebrand maybe down the road. The Money Brothers.
I find that highly doubtful. Okay, but it's okay. No, so you decided to start. You come out of college. You decided to. You had this company already. You started. Like, what brought you to that point where you said, I want to do this for other people, even though I've done this for myself? Right? Like what made that, what flipped that switch, right? Because most of the time people would say, like, you're doing this, like, you just keep, why would you go do this for other people? You're raising money, you're buying properties, you bought something in your senior year of college. Why decide to take this company and go do it for other people?
So I was really pissed off when I learned about how I could leverage my personal credit and get access to capital under the business. 6 years after I started investing, right? Because I was in my early 20s when I started. I didn't have a lot of capital. So when I learned about this, I'm like, wait a minute, why did it take me 6 years to get here? Why isn't this stuff being taught sooner to investors, especially newer investors or investors that are like out of this start, they have their first flip or two or property in the works and they're having success, but they just don't have maybe the experience to go get top-notch private lenders or even the access and cash build up to be able to do every deal that comes along. So for me, it was more like, all right, I learned about this 6 years in. I understood it. I started to use it. I started really ramping up the portfolio at that point, and it was a no-brainer. I want to help others. To be honest, I always thought that I would use real estate to get out of my full-time engineering job, and then I started doing real estate more and more. No offense, I really don't want to work with contractors every single day. I really don't want to work with tenants every single day. I like the wealth building opportunity with real estate. I like the tax advantages, but to be honest, I really enjoy working with that investor and helping them learn something new, something that they may not have known or something that they've known, and just expanding upon that. And I get to learn something new from every entrepreneur I talk to. So it's a win-win.
Right. So on that note, so let's go over to Nick. So Nick, now obviously you're not a Mauz brother.
Correct.
So we made that very clear. So now tell us a little bit of maybe how you show up in this story. Where did you come from? How did you meet up with Eric? How did you find yourself?
What were you doing
this
before?
role of-
Yeah,
So
what
I
were you
stumbled
doing
upon
before
Eric.
this.
Right, so I stumbled upon Eric. So out of high school, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I was working for a couple of guys in the mortgage business, and I figured, those guys are so dumb that I could probably go out there and do it as well. So at 18, after I graduated high school, I opened up a mortgage company. So when I was looking for an office, actually I went to my stepfather who had empty office space on the second floor of his pawn shop, and he said, I'll give you reduced rent, but you got to manage my pawn shop on the first floor. Done deal. I'm 18. I'm like, all right, I'm in, which is actually a blessing because, 3 years into the mortgage business, the mortgage collapse hit. So I was just kind of right place, right time because commodities took off, right? Gold, silver, platinum, diamonds, and I started buying gold and silver. So much like we flip real estate now, I was flipping jewelry. So I'd buy it on Monday for X amount, flip it on Friday and make the profit, and then just keep turning it over. The business was booming, right? So if you sold gold in the Philly, Jersey market from 08 to 2011, I probably touched it at some point. That's just how it was. I opened up 13 stores from Northeast Philly all the way down to Cape May. And I was running through cash. So my wife at the time actually worked in Eric's office. She's like, you should talk to Eric. He helps, investors get access to funds and maybe he can help you. Talk to Eric. He put in place $100,000 for that jewelry business, completely changed the business. I was able to keep leveraging. I didn't have to hold on to all my own cash. And I like to say that the rest is just kind of history. So fast forward to like 2015, 2016, as I was looking to get into that next thing, at that point I had been investing in real estate, just kind of, by chance. And I said, much like you helped me, I want to be able to help others. So I came on board and, with kind of my business background and the lending background, it just all kind of meshed. We meshed, we bust each other's balls all the time. So it was like a good relationship. So it was easy to get out there and kind of grow the business together. And yeah, I've been on now 6+ years and we're helping real estate investors on a daily basis get access to funds.
So I want to go a little off track here for 1 second. So tell me, what's the more interesting business and where do you find the more interesting people? Real estate or buying and selling cool jewelry? I gotta hear this one.
So I'll tell you, it depends on where the jewelry store is, right? Like I had a store in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, great clientele. The store in Philly, though, it was like Pawn Stars, right? It really was. Like it was a different story. Something happened every day. But I've learned it's kind of like real estate, right? Even when you're out at all these networking events, there's weird people everywhere. So we run into weird people. There's, on both sides. There was definitely more interesting characters in the jewelry business. Some more regulars that would kind of show up on a daily basis.
I think it's interesting
things.
that there's more
Always
interesting
bringing more and more
characters
jewelry
in the jewelry business
Correct.
than there in the real estate business. 'Cause I think
Now,
there's
don't get me
really
wrong. There's a
interesting
lot of characters when it comes to real estate in all facets of the real estate business. So, I mean, it does it kind of portrays itself to both sides.
By the way, you heard it here first. Coming soon from Nick, Tales of a Philly Pawn Star. New podcast episodes dropping monthly.
We actually filmed the pilot, and that will never see the light of day ever again. It was a 23
Soon
minute
coming
pilot.
to the Alpha Funding YouTube page, the pilot of...
Yeah, it was called Kings of Gold. I'm not even joking. There's a pilot. I do have a DVD somewhere.
You know someone's going to find this, right?
I have it. I think I have the only copy, and it's not seeing the light of day.
Joe, Kings of Gold, you're going to find it out there somewhere.
Yeah,
And
I don't know that it ever got shot, but it got filmed.
It's going right up on the YouTube.
Maybe we should hold it back.
DMC takedowns be damned. It's going right up on the YouTube. All right.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I got involved in MB Capital.
First time I heard that.
Yeah, that you're not seeing that video. I'll
Wow.
say that.
The brotherly love here. That's the first time he's ever heard of your pawn shop, show.
Yeah. Well, it's never going to see the light of day.
Thanks for pulling that out of him.
I've
Things
learned,
you'll
I've,
only
he's
hear
gonna-
on the Mike and Matt podcast.
I've learned a lot here today so far.
That's good.
Yeah.
We're here to educate.
So, on that note of education, so MB Capital Solutions provides unsecured business lines of credit. Am I correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
And this is not just, obviously, this is a real estate podcast. We deal with entrepreneurs, but it doesn't have to necessarily be investing in real estate itself. You guys can also help other business owners, correct?
Like pawn shops.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Any business owner, any small business owner who needs working capital.
Okay. Now,
So before you go, so let me just make this clear. So you're here to help entrepreneurs run their business. You are not here to help me buy a Ferrari.
Exactly.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Correct. Yeah, we're not getting you funds off of a line of credit to go fund a lifestyle. That's not the client we want to work with. So if you're watching right now and you want a Ferrari, we're probably not going to help you.
because I see a lot of that right now. If you're on social media,
Yeah,
Instagram, TikTok, in the last year, I've seen a huge boom.
you have to have a Lambo.
Yes. But I remember going to we met, the first time I ever met you guys was New Jersey Real Estate Social Network.
Yep.
And I didn't know what you guys did. I didn't understand it. And now I do understand it, but now it has become so mainstream, but almost in a negative way.
Yeah.
Where I think people think that there's free money out there. And there's risk associated with these types of lines of credit. There's responsibility. You have to be thoughtful when you acquire these and when you set them up. You have to have
100%.
plans in place. Yeah, like Mike was saying, no Ferraris.
So take us, wide and bring us in. So talk to us about unsecured business lines of credit, and then maybe bring us into what your company provides.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a nutshell, what an unsecured business line of credit is us getting you access to working capital inside your business name, but it is unsecured, right? We're not collateralizing a property, an asset, nothing like that. So we are leveraging personal credit. So there's more of an emphasis on having stronger personal credit. And essentially, we can go to banks and lenders and get access to funds in the business name that is true working capital. We can use it for whatever we want. So if it's down payment money, gap funding, combined with you guys and essentially 100% fund a deal without actually having to use your own cash, it is a game changer. So, we leverage that personal credit to get you what we like to call opportunity money under the business name, so that as you go out there and leverage it and use it, even though the lender's looking at personal credit, it doesn't report on personal credit. We're separating out personal and business so that you can go leverage a shitload of money in the business name, but not have to worry about it impacting our personal credit score. So especially for, maybe an Burr investor, right? So let's go leverage a good amount of money. It keeps you bankable and lendable so that when you get to that refinance point and lender pulls credit, you're still in a nice credit position regardless of how much money you're actually using in the business name.
So when you're opening these lines, are they just like straight up lines of credit straight from a bank? Are they credit cards? Like, maybe tell us a little more, like, is it just, am I getting one line of credit? Am I getting a couple? Is it hard money? Is it like expensive? Are we talking 10% money? Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, great
as
question.
As far as like what we're extracting from you.
So there's a couple different options, and it all depends on the client, right? So we do traditional, those checkbook lines of credit. That all depends on age of business and personal credit. But then we also do, strategic business credit card plans. We like to kind of build your funding toolbox, as we like to call it, to where you just have options that no matter what opportunity pops up, you can kind of go somewhere to pull it from. So yeah, it is, we do credit card plans, we do lines of credit. And again, it's, in the business name, go out there and put it to use for whatever we need to.
All right, so let me ask this question. So I'm going to give you two scenarios, and I think this will help everybody listening. So first scenario, I have I am 25 years old. I've decided that I want to invest in real estate. I've never invested in real estate in my entire life. I've just opened an LLC and I need some money so I can come to call Alpha Funding up to get a loan to buy something, right? What kind of what kind of money can I expect to get from you guys? So I'm 25, maybe I got pretty good credit, maybe not a lot of trade lines, and I'm fresh. So.
Right, yeah, you're a little younger credit profile, right? Because you're younger and you can only start building credit at 18. But with a newer entity, right, you have that new LLC, you're ready to do that first deal. What we would normally help someone in that type of scenario is get access to somewhere between 30 to 50,000 or so of access, depending upon the strength of the credit. If it's a really strong credit profile outside of just having 7 years, you might be able to get 50 to 80,000 as well. There's some strategy there that we can talk through with the client and help them to actually leverage potentially other individuals' credit, like his parents. There's something called an authorized user technique that can help expand his overall credit history. So there's some good strategies, and that's where we always like to customize based on who we're talking to.
So because that client that you just mentioned, when we meet them, we'll have a full conversation with them. Like, I want to get to know them first. What are you looking to do? Not just short term, but long term as well. Maybe you only want to do one deal a year. Maybe the plan is to do for 10, but we got to plan for that, right? So it's like, let's go get you 50 to 100 now, but let's make sure that we're doing it in a way that we can acquire more money as you're growing and scaling the business, so that you have more funds to go take advantage of more opportunities.
So you guys are talking about exactly what you guys helped me out with a couple years ago, and we were talking about this on the last episode when we were teasing you guys coming on. But that was precisely what you guys helped me out with. I set up the LLC. It was not a seasoned LLC. You guys coached me through it. You walked me through the steps of setting up the LLC. I came to you guys. You answered all the questions I had. You guys kind of walked me down that path, and I was able to acquire, I think the number was somewhere around 40 to 50,000 on the first try. Yeah. And ever since then, my credit score has actually gone up. And I want the listeners to hear how powerful and how impactful this is. My credit score has gone up, not down. You would think by opening up these lines, your credit score would go down. Yes, there's some instances where your credit score may go down a little bit because of inquiries, but because of other factors, my score actually went up. And what you were talking about, securing that line of credit through my business, it didn't affect my personal credit. And my credit on my personal side actually went up. So it's amazing how powerful this can be. And when you can combine that with, say you did a loan with us and you needed 20, 30, 40,000 for a down payment, closing costs and interest payments, you can be effectively 100% in a project with none of your own money.
It's a game changer.
Exactly.
It really is.
Well,
and it's a marathon too, though. It is. I think what Matt's talking about is when you build the right foundation from the start by working with someone who understands how to build a strong personal file, you can really start to get that first 40, 50K, but then long term, you have a stronger FICO score, stronger credit profile, and build that up to 150, 200,000 plus of access, just because that credit continues to get stronger and stronger.
And you both practice what you preach. Like you were just saying this
100%.
before. You were a client before you started working with Nick, and you also deploy the same strategy as well, right? So you guys are both actively growing your lines every year.
Oh yeah, I mean, we always like to use ourselves as an example, right? Because one, we both are out there investing in real estate, but then we're also doing it. Like Eric said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'm still acquiring capital. I'm still tweaking my wife's credit. We're still setting up new LLCs to be able to go acquire more funding. So it is a marathon. I take the advantage of, or the viewpoint of, let's build up as much as we can, because we don't know what's coming up. So whatever opportunity does come up, I want to make sure that I have somewhere to go pull from, that regardless of what it is, I don't miss out on it.
And if you're, I know I'm kind of cannibalizing.
I keep looking at
If
it.
you're,
I want to say something.
if you are a real estate investor, if you are a client of you guys, once they get the line of credit, that's not when it stops, right? Like you said, it's a marathon. You guys are actively working with them. If they're looking to maybe pivot, if they're looking to add something, you guys are there for them throughout. So
Totally.
I might get that credit line with you 2 years ago, and we're still in contact with you. You're very
Whatever you
much
need help with.
relationship based. You guys are consultative. You guys are constantly working and evolving with your clients. their plans?
So I always like to say it's one thing to go get you money, especially if we're doing lines of credit or if we're doing some of those strategic credit card plans. It's another thing to actually show you how to go out there and use it. Like, people are like, oh, I have credit cards. I'm like, yes, but do you know how to actually go purchase a piece of real estate by swiping a credit card? Most people don't. So it's that knowledge on the back end and that hand holding and that coaching that I think makes us more valuable than just the acquisition of the money.
So the thing that I really wanted to back up and talk about, because I feel like we went over it really, really fast, was you just said you can get somebody anywhere from like 30, that 25-year-old from anywhere from like $30,000 to $50,000, right? And I think I want to just pause on that, because I think it's easy to say that's not a lot of money, right? But I think the other part of that is to say, look, if you're starting out in this business and you don't have all the money to do it, what's the first step you do? You call up mom and dad, you call up your uncle, you call up your friends, you call up not everybody has those resources. $30,000 to $50,000 in a real estate transaction starting out is the difference between I have to go around and learn and try to figure out how to raise money from other people, take my mom's money and say, Mom, I promise you I'm going to pay it back to you someday, and that this deal is going to work. Or taking it on my own shoulders and saying, listen, I have the ability myself to go get this money, do this deal, and secure a future in investing in whether it's real estate or any business without necessarily having to lean on other people. You have the ability on your own to go do it. $30,000 to $50,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah. How many?
And I think that's important. I don't want to gloss over. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, all I'm going to get is 30. I'm like, that is a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, imagine having
almost no
$50,000 in cash in your bank account.
At 20, you're this 25-year-old. You want to start a business, and there's somebody saying, I'm going to give you $30,000 to $50,000. That's not going to impact your personal credit, so you can go start a business, whatever that business is. Yeah.
I would have loved $30,000 to $50,000. I started investing at 22, right? My biggest private lender from the age of 22 to 28 was $10,000 because I didn't have the portfolio, I didn't have the experience. I was, I like I said, the first deal I bought was excess student loans. I tapped into some personal credit, 0% credit cards to fund a few deals. I had a $10,000 private lender, my partner's parents, and then a $5,000 private lender, my aunt, and I was limited. I mean, I only did a few deals between 2002 and 2008. When me and my wife started building Access, we got over 200,000 within 90 days. And it was a game changer. We've been building it since. Like Nick said, there are still options available for me right now if I wanted to go get more access.
So now on the flip side, now we talked about the 25-year-old. So now let's talk about somebody else. So here you go. You're me. You're Michael. You're 35. You have great credit. You run a business like we do. It's, this year it's 16 years old. What can I do? What can I get if I wanted to come to you guys right now and open and get lines of credit? What kind of number am I looking at?
So it still comes back to personal credit.
My personal credit's great.
Great personal credit.
Great personal credit.
You may say it's great. Maybe at 800. I always like to look at credit data. The data really dictates what options we're going to have. I always like to put that out there because there is more strategic than just, I have an 800 credit score. How much can I get? That being said, everything kind of matches. You're in a nice market because you're in New York, New Jersey. We can go after credit cards. We can go after lines of credit. Our average client with really good credit is getting anywhere between 60 to 70,000 in a credit card plan. And then there's easily another 100 to 150,000 just in terms of lines of credit. So there's 150 to 200 grand for us to go acquire for you to be able to go start, deploying into your deals. It's a huge number.
So that's the next thing, right? So now we talked about the newbie. So now if you're a seasoned person, you've been working, you're working at your business, you have good credit, you're saying there's a potential to access anywhere from $80,000 to $200,000 without having
the first 30 days or so.
In the first 30 days. So without having to go out and raise private money from friends and family and owe other people money, just money you owe yourself. Like you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, I got to pay this money back. You're saying there's anywhere from $80,000 to $200,000 easily.
Now, also, for our listeners, if you wanted to move forward on this, because I'm sure I'm thinking about it probably the same way that you are if you're listening. If I needed money today, I have a deal that just came in front of me. I have an opportunity, but the only thing holding me back is that money. I'm going to go to Alpha. I'm going to get the funding, but I also need this additional working capital. How long would it take to get one of these lines of credit started?
So from the time we submit applications, process is anywhere from 7 to 21 days. It could take a little bit longer depending on the bank if their underwriting department's a little bit, overworked, maybe a full 30. So that's why I always tell clients, you want to meet us before you have the deal, ideally. I'm not saying it doesn't pop up where I get a call where it's like, hey, I just got something under contract and I need money. It happens all the time. In that type of situation, we'll look at it. We'll see what we can do, how fast we can move. But ideally, we want to be able to meet you before you have the deal. I'll give you a prime example, a client I referred to you yesterday. We got him money. He has the money.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know how to go find a deal. But once we got him money, he started putting in offers.
And we went through the pre-approval process with him.
Yep.
We're going to give him proof of funds. Now
Yep.
he's pre-approved. He just submitted his application. He's working with David. And we went through what it takes to find the right margins in a deal, how he should be evaluating and looking at the numbers. And then he obviously now has that gap money with you guys.
Right.
Yeah,
as soon as he got the money in his pocket, he's like, oh, I can actually go put in offers because now I feel like I can actually fund a deal. And he's starting to find deals where I'm like, you may need to talk to hard money because I don't know that necessarily that we got you enough money to fund the whole thing.
Yeah, because he was saying, because without going, I won't name who the borrower is, but he actually told me that you guys were able to help him get $120,000 in lines of credit. Yep. He's looking to purchase this property for $90,000, and I told him, I said, could you use that line of credit? It's completely unsecured. Buy the property for $90,000, do the rehab, maybe with some other money. But I said, what if we were to come in and we were to provide you 70% of that $90,000? Yeah. You keep all of that in your pocket. You come with 30% of the 90. You're looking at $30,000, $27,000, and now we'll also give you the money to renovate the property. And now he has all of this working capital that he can use. It's just
think of the power.
It's
of
amazing,
that, right? Like I'm in the middle of a deal. All right,
zero,
I don't have to use
zero of his own dollars,
zero of his own cash. Like we're just leveraging lines of credit, credit cards, right? So like think of that power now. Now he doesn't have to use the full 120, right? So if he uses 20,000 of it, 30,000 of it, he still has that extra availability.
Yeah,
that
even closing costs,
he can go do a second deal,
12,000, interest payments.
All these properties that he's putting offers on, and the deal that he starts. I mean, we hear it all the time. You start working on a deal, the neighbor around the corner all of a sudden wants to sell their house. Now he has the funds necessary to be able to go and say, all right, well, I know Alpha's going to give me a majority of the money for the purchase and the rehab. And I still have the funds to go do another deal at the same time.
So he doesn't even have 50% of his line being utilized. And then when a deal pops up, and he now already has one deal under his belt with us, and now we can provide him even more, where we go up to potentially 90% of purchase price. When we have our experienced investors, they're putting as little as 10% down. Yeah. It's just... It gets me really, really excited when we start talking about this. It's a game changer.
And that's the one thing with us is we're not going to replace all the other tools in the toolbox for an investor, right? Every investor should have what we call a funding toolbox. We are just complementing the other tools out there, right? You're going to use the hard money lenders. We talked about private money a little bit. As an investor, you might be using just straight mortgages. And like we talked about, you're going to tap into lines of credit through us, through credit cards.
Have a HELOC, have cash, have those private money lenders. You should have access to all of it. The more you have access to, the more opportunities you can find.
So let me ask you this one now. So now we know you can get it fast. You can get way more than you think you probably could. Even in the first scenario, game changer money.
Yeah.
What does the money cost? So is it, like I said before, are you talking like, I'm getting $50,000 and it's 9%? Is it 10%, or is it like
20%?
Yeah, like what? Like maybe tell us there. So now I have all this money. Is it burning a hole in my pocket not using it?
Gotcha.
What's going on?
It's always when you have access to it. When you're not using it, you're not paying anything on it. Okay. But it is burning a hole in your pocket because as soon as you get in your pocket, you want to spend it.
Sure.
I did the most deals.
Not buying a Ferrari. I told you.
Don't buy the Ferrari.
He said I couldn't buy the Ferrari.
Turo it or whatever.
When I had that 200K of access, I had a fire under me. I mean, it was great. I did the most deals between 2008 and 2011 just because of that access.
Right.
Yeah. So while you're using it, right, on the lines of credit, those traditional checkbook lines of credit, interest rates prime plus somewhere between 1% to 4% depending on personal credit. So prime right now is at 8.25%. So we're talking anywhere from 9.25% on the low end to 12.25% on the high end. And because it's unsecured, that's why it goes off of prime. Obviously, with the last year, with interest rates going up, over the last 12 months, it went from 3.25 to 8.25 prime. Hopefully, we're at the ceiling, so we'll start to see some, hopefully, decreases in prime interest rate. But that's the only variable part. But even still, at 9 to 12%, it's not expensive money, especially because when you're servicing the debt, you're only paying interest-only payments on it. So if we're using it for a flip or for a buy and hold, really, we just have to service the debt until we get to the exit strategy, right? Whether we're flipping it or refinancing it. But that's really why we were doing a lot of 0% credit card plans for clients. And, one, I love 0%.
Oh, let's back it up. You just said 0% plans.
What?
What?
That's like a dirty word in this building.
I want to go over a couple
on.
things. I want us to keep going through this. And
I
then
have to
Why don't you
fully
stop me
put-
where you want me to stop?
Hold on, I have to fully put the explicit tag on this podcast because he just said a dirty word. He said 0%.
You dropped an F-bomb last episode.
So what if I dropped an F-bomb? He dropped a 0% bomb. You can't do that in this building. We can't talk about 0%.
0%? Is there free money?
Just got chill.
What's the catch?
So-
What's the catch?
So with the credit card plan, what we do when we build a credit card plan, it is 0%, right? When you're getting those new credit cards, lender's going to give you those 0% promotions to entice you to use it. Anywhere from 9 to 21 months on the 0% credit cards. So if we can get you, say, $50,000 on a line of credit, even on the high end at 12%, but we also get you 50 grand at 0% money, well, now we're really using 100 grand at a blended interest rate of 6%. You can't go anywhere in the country and borrow 100 grand for under prime right now. So we like the 0% credit card money because, one, it's access, especially for that newer 25-year-old with the brand new business. We're going to lean on credit cards anyway. But it makes our money that we're using kind of much, much cheaper on a blended interest rate. And then if we're only using 0% credit cards, that's a beautiful thing. I know 0% is a dirty word here in the Alpha office.
So what I
Well, it's an
want
unbelievable word, right? It's like, it's like me saying I'm going to go buy a Ferrari.
Well, why did they do it,
doesn't
right?
happen,
So
right?
why did they do it? What's the catch?
Yes, I want to know. So if I'm an investor, I get the line of credit with you guys. What are some things that because this is not something that you can just fool around with. Right? It's your credit. This is real money. There's real ramifications.
Real money.
What happens? What are some of the negatives?
So we want to be responsible with the money, right? So we're personally guaranteeing it. So even though it's unsecured and in the business name, we're still responsible for it. So if we stop paying on it, we have late payments and it defaults, it recourses back onto personal credit. But why did the lenders give the 0% promotions to begin with? One, they're a credit card company. They have to hold your debt. That's their business. But the real reason why lenders give the 0% promotions is they know statistics show that 90+% of the people that use 0% promotions typically can't pay it back. They're using it for bad debt, they're shopping with it, they're moving over other bad debt. For us as real estate investors, we're not shopping with it, we're not getting the Lambo, we're not renting the Ferrari. We're putting it into a deal.
Some of us.
Some of us. Not our clients.
He burst in my bubble.
But we're putting it into a deal where we have an exit strategy, right? We're putting it into a deal that we know we're either flipping or refinancing and funds are coming back. So when funds come back and we're able to pay it down, the lender hates that. They do. They're like, shit, matches you 0% money for 12 months. We got no interest and he paid it back. So you know what they do? They go, we're going to give Matt another one.
Because you're hoping I'm going
So
to...
is it
Because
another
the odds
card or
are
is it just
that
more
you're not
time?
going to be able to use it.
Is it more time on the same card, or is it just
More
you're
time on
getting
the same card.
a new card and now you
Yeah.
get more time?
Yeah, there's times where we want to acquire new money or new cards or amplify how much we have. But we're able to leverage these same cards over and over again as long as we use it the right way.
So if I'm responsible and I'm doing the deals that I say I'm going to do and I'm making good choices and I'm making the payments, it's possible that I can roll. The example you gave was $50,000 in credit card lines at 0%. That I have the opportunity just to kind of roll that.
Yes.
For, let's say you said, 21.
So I have one client. She doesn't do many deals. I'm mostly helping her every 6 months just roll around her personal credit card debt. Like I still hang on. I met her at New Jersey Real Estate Social Network. So I just help her move around her personal debt and keep it at 0% for her to help. But you can do that. Believe it or not, you can do it.
Well, not even
in the
moving around
business
my
name
personal
and
debt,
on the personal side.
But just this, I finished my deal, my 0% is about to come up. You're saying I can just
Pay it down. You want to pay it down.
I paid off. I did my deal. I paid off my card. You're saying that lender, that person, the group offering that will be we're just going to give you another year of 0% money.
We want to entice you to use it again. because most people that are using it can't pay it off, Mike.
So, Mike,
the fact that you just did,
yeah.
I want to give you more money. I
Right.
trust you even more. I want to get interest from you. So that's why they keep giving them.
Though not only will they send a 0%, but when you pay them off, they will start to increase
Yes, that's what I was
your
just gonna
limit,
say.
and then you get more 0%.
So
This is
So
more
Mike,
interesting
this
than
is-
Kings
this
of Gold.
This is where, yeah, this is when you can maybe buy the Lambo. But
You're still not seeing
this
the
has
pilot.
happened with me, Mike. I paid down the line. Then they said, we're going to increase your limit. My credit score went up. And once you guys, I think you guys, one of you told me, I think it was you, 750 is really like that magic number. If you're above 750, that's when they start sending you the checks in the mail. Use our line. If it's $20,000, use my line again. You just paid it down to
They'll give you
zero.
convenience
Please.
checks
Yeah, they'll
with
give
the
you
cards.
checks, and all you gotta do is fill it out, and they say, take my check to the bank and deposit it.
Yeah.
And now I can use that money for another 18 months at 0%, because ultimately it all goes back to what you're talking about. They know that eventually you're going to miss a payment, or you're not going to be able to pay it back.
Or
and
it's
then
going to
the
expire, and they're going to start charging
And
you
they're gonna start
26%
Yeah.
on the balance.
So that's really, I guess that's what I want all of our listeners to know, is that once the period is up, the introductory period, that promotional
We want to
period,
move it.
They're
Either
going
pay
to
it down or move it. That's where having kind of a blend of the lines of credit and the credit cards really do make this type of model powerful. You know, what I'll kind of coach clients on is, if you have a 0% promotion coming to expiration, but you have the line of credit, just pay off the credit card. Within a cycle or two, they'll send you another 0% promotion, re-access it, pay off the line of credit. You want to have options, right? We want to start building you up with what we like to call like a marketplace of lenders, and become our own bank, so that we can keep leveraging these things over and over again.
Yeah, and you also want to work with the right team, right? Because there are some companies out there that will help you just build access to capital, like Nick said, and not show you how to use it. However, I've had clients for 10, 12 plus years that I'm still game planning with them. We'll talk, and like Nick said, it's not really getting them more money, but it's how to be more strategic with what they currently have access to, so that they can keep using it inexpensively.
So I want to talk about that, because I think that's really important, right? So it's one thing to have access to all the money, but you were just saying about the client that you check in with, and you say you have somebody for 12 years. It works when you have a team like you guys who are coming in and who are saying, like, we're going to help you move the balances. We're going to make sure that you're not going over time. You're not defaulting on your piece, that, oh, you're running up to the end of your 0% time. We're going to roll that balance onto this thing, so that, you know, you can get that more 0% going. So, like, I think that's a super important part to this. It's
Yeah.
one thing to have the money, right? And we all like to think like we can manage all these different pieces, but what you guys are talking about is pretty complex. Like, this is not just like,
yeah.
here's $100,000, here's a checkbook, and now it's magically going to just be 0% forever, and you never have to do anything.
Especially for real estate investors.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's
Matt.
like, there's
Especially
no,
for Matt.
Yeah. But that's where.
you think he's buying the Range Rover if I'm buying the Ferrari.
But that's why I wanted to bring
Yeah.
you guys on here today, is because, one, I also wanted to ask you, you guys can offer this to investors and or business owners across the country, correct?
Nationwide.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
if you're
doesn't
in
matter the state.
California, Texas, Florida, anywhere, you guys
Idaho.
can help them out.
Idaho.
Idaho.
We just did
I have a
I was
client in
texting you when I
Alaska right now.
Puerto
Eric has a-
Rico.
You name it, we can do it. Hawaii. We
Hawaii.
have more clients in
Yeah,
Hawaii
Puerto
than
Rico, I
Idaho,
have.
to be honest with you.
I have a client down there.
But yeah, I mean, we were just in Arizona for an event with 500 and plus women real estate investors and a lot of West Coast clients. Doesn't matter where you're at, we can help you.
But what you guys do that's different, like Mike was just saying, is that you guys may help acquire the line of credit, but you're more than that. You guys are a backstop for them. You're a support system. When they have questions, you can. I do it all the time. I call you guys. I'm like, hey, what can I do? I have this period expiring. What should I do on this? That is, especially even leading up to the line of credit, like how incredible your team is. When you guys onboarded me, I got started. It was literally, when you think of like a valet service, that's whenever I tell our clients that we work with, if you're going to call MB, this is what you're going to get. It's like literally driving up to the really nice restaurant. You're going to
Yeah.
drop off the key, and they're going to do everything else for you.
Show up, listen.
Listen, yes.
Follow.
Be
Involved,
coachable.
be
We always like
coachable.
that. You know, if you want us to coach you, be coachable. But yeah, like I always say, it's one thing to get you money. It's one thing to say, all right, here's a credit card. But like, how do I get those funds off of the credit card? How do I pull cash off of a credit
You have
card?
to. It's an act.
How-
It's something that you have to actively manage.
Correct. Yeah, and the strategy as well. You know, most clients, once we show them how to do it a couple times, they're usually like, Nick, Eric, we're good, we got it. There's other people that need the hand holding, or they're doing so many deals that they have a lot of moving pieces. But, you know, when I got on a call last night with somebody to help her literally wire funds off of 3 credit cards to the title company for her closing, and she was ecstatic. Like, she had no idea how she was going to fund this deal. She had no cash. We got her close to 80 grand in 0% credit cards. She's using $65,000 of it to purchase a property in Pittsburgh, outright, completely. She's actually wiring the funds off of the credit cards to the title company to go close. And she's going to carry that debt for the next year at 0%.
I mean, literal game changer.
Literal game changer.
This person,
She could not get anybody to private
the next
lend.
day.
You know, she needed capital. We got her capital, and she was able to find a deal.
So this helps an investor take back control, because I think some of the biggest stress.
well, not just take back control. It also lines them up. Like, the hardest thing right now, I'll say, in hard money is experience. Right. That is the hardest thing that separates people from being able to do deals and not do deals, aside from having the money. Money starts at the beginning of having the dollars to do the deals. But the hardest thing right now in our business is borrowers having experience to unlock the better leverage, the better rates, the better programs that we can offer. So what you just did for this person, right? She had no possibility of doing all this stuff. You got her $80,000. She just used $65,000 of it to buy a deal. She has now entered the realm of, I have done a deal. And that, for us, changes the game for the borrower. Just that one deal, that first deal. The same borrower you guys are talking about that's coming to us. After that first deal, unlocks a different level of capacity from us. So that by itself is a game changer.
And I have 2 other clients right now where they're going through funding, where similar situation, brand new investors, they have a property under contract. So they both have their own LLCs, and we're getting each of them their own funds. And essentially they're joint venturing this deal just to get the experience, so that on the next deal they can come to a hard money lender and say, hey, listen, we've done a deal. You know, so they'll have the capital for that next deal, and they'll have the experience. They're just tag teaming the deal together by us getting them funds to essentially, again, 100% fund the deal.
I think that just by itself, we've just unlocked some of the most powerful parts of this business. So now I have a couple. I have a fun question I want to ask.
Fun.
What is
He's like,
the most amount that you have ever gone for one person, not over time, because that's no fun.
In one round of funding.
That's no fun.
One round of funding.
They
Gotcha.
called you up on a Monday.
We've had a couple lately.
Your
that
first
done
round. What is the first big number? What is the biggest number you've ever done?
I have a client pop into my head. Got him 300. He had a 4-year-old entity. He was based in PA. Got him $309,000. And he screwed up one of the line of credits. He could have had another $50,000 on top of that.
What was that? Hold on, really quickly.
$309,000.
309
in one round.
In one round.
First
One round.
round
30 days.
30 days?
30 days.
Yeah. I just had a client where he had a brand new LLC, and there was no, in the game plan, we weren't going to go after a line of credit, but his credit was very, very strong. So he ended up getting like $220,000 just in 0% credit cards, And then on top of that, even with a brand new LLC, because he was like an 825 credit score, he got a $50,000 line of credit. He got $270,000 on a brand new LLC.
And most of that was 0% credit card.
220,000 of that was 0% for at least the next 12 months.
So now to my next fun question. Is there a competition between the two of you on a monthly basis on who gets your clients the most amount of money?
No.
100%.
Did you see how quickly he said no?
We got a no, and then we got an absolutely.
100%. Yes, I'm not going to lie.
Friendly competition.
Friendly
And if one's winning if one has more funding for his clients, then I help more clients. So it's one or the other.
We go back and forth.
So who wins most months?
Eric is very good.
Oh.
Eric likes to cherry
That's
pick.
That's humble right there.
Eric likes to cherry pick.
And the humble's gone. We started humble, and then we ended humble really
Eric
fast.
is very good. Eric has been doing this a very long time. He's got 7 extra years on me in terms of being in this business, so he should be doing a lot better. That being said,
with all due respect,
that being said,
and I mean with all due respect,
whenever I have trouble, right, and normally most people on the team, the advisors, I kind of coach them, through game plans and stuff like that. When I have trouble or if I need help, I'm man enough to admit that I do go to Eric. He does have a different perspective. He's been around a lot longer. He's used the money in different ways than I have. It's different clientele. So there is a good yin and yang there, and that's kind of why this all works.
I love it.
So one second. So we have some South Jersey and Philly boys here.
Yes.
So the both of you.
Yep.
How much of your lines of credit have you used to bet on Phillies games?
None.
Sixers games.
Definitely not Sixers.
Eagles games.
Stay away.
Stay away.
Stay
Don't go
away.
betting with the lines of credit.
Ooh.
That's a whole nother.
There you go.
That's a whole.
That's what I was trying to get to. I
It's
was afraid.
opportunity
I was
money.
really afraid one of you were going to be like, "Well, I just
Did I bet too much on the Eagles for the Super Bowl? Yes. Did I use a line of credit? No.
Okay, that's good. Just want to make sure.
Yes. But yeah, use it for opportunities, right? Grow your business, find the opportunities. Have clients that, and like dealing with real estate investors, most real estate investors do have a different type of business as well. They may be a plumber, or they may be like, we're working with a lot of different types of, so there's lots of different ways we can help.
And would you say it's worth it to do it, whether or not you need the money? So I know you said it's better for them to come to you before they come to us, right? But even if you have somebody who feels like they would never need it, right? Is there a real harm in saying, listen, you just got a guy $220,000 and 0% credit cards. His credit is probably fine at this point. Is there a real harm to saying, like, why shouldn't you have access available to you of $220,000 you're not paying any money for?
If you're not using it, you're not paying anything.
Right, so you're not paying for it. Is there any real harm to just saying, like, I should just do this as a business owner, whether I'm a new business owner or I've had a business for a long time, that I shouldn't just have $220,000 right here? Because if somebody pulls up tomorrow and says, I have a great opportunity for you, and you say, I don't have the money.
Yeah, what did Mark
Right,
say a
like,
couple episodes ago?
Right.
Mark said, what was his suggestion or his advice?
Yeah, that was a lot of episodes.
Make sure that when the opportunity presents itself, you have the money available to jump on that opportunity.
The real answer there would be go back and listen to episode 2 of the Mike and Matt show. So
Episode 2.
So you can listen to Mark and his wise
After you finish this
words.
After you finish
Get
this
our
one.
viewers up on this episode.
Now, I also want to
But
thank
to-
you guys really
to-
quickly
well-
for these Philly pretzels.
I was coming. I was on my way. I was like, I got to get you guys some pretzels.
Also for great radio, for those not watching on YouTube, we are eating pretzels.
Matt is eating a pretzel.
Just Matt. Only Matt.
Yeah, but there's no harm in having it, right? Like there's no, and we'll talk to people all the time, and they're like, I'm good on money. Like I'm set. Like I have a HELOC, I have cash, and those people come back to us and say, you know what, I need 50 grand. And I always preach like be ready for it, because whether you're out there looking for opportunities, the biggest thing that's happened since COVID is just preaching, being ready for whatever may happen. You guys know more than anybody, when COVID hit, game changed, right? Money
Absolutely.
changed. Clients needed more seasoning. Clients needed more in reserves. So you never know what's going to go wrong. You never know when that pandemic's going to hit, or, hey, we just need extra access to money.
I have a question. With what has happened recently, especially post-COVID, but even just last year with interest rates going up, have you seen an uptick in the last several months with people looking for any types of forms of unsecured lines of credit?
So look, I've been saying it for years. I don't want a major market crash to happen, right? However, it was so easy to get money between like 2014 and 2022. It was easy. So when the rates started to tick up, I said, oh, here we go. People are going to need us more. So yes, we're seeing an uptick in referrals. We're seeing an uptick in a lot more people that are actually very interested in starting to build up the access because they need more in reserves to work with the lenders that they're working with. They need more down payment money. So yes, it's a major. I mean, we're seeing an uptick just there, and I keep saying uptick, but yes, we are talking to more investors, more business owners, and they need the strategy, right? They need the coaching on this side. It's not, even though for us it's easy, if you don't know if you don't know the right lenders to approach in the right order and know how to do it with the right bankers, it's not easy. We take for granted how much we've built and understand this game. I mean, being in it for 15 years, I'm thinking, someone else can do it, but you really you got to be strategic.
You said 3 things: right order, right team, and we used earlier right tools. But making sure that we use the right tool in the right order with the right team. If you're somebody who's going to be getting a line of credit and you want to work with us, you're looking to get this, we were talking about it on the last episode. If you want to get into a deal with little or no money down, if you have the money, keep the money in your pocket. You have fresh powder for another opportunity. Or you can use very little of the line of credit, use it with us, and you can help leverage yourself, making sure that when you do get set up, there is a right order, like you were just saying. And, for us on the Alpha side, when we do a pre-approval, so a lot of our borrowers, they'll come and they'll either come to us and then we send them over to you, or they come to you guys and you send them over to us, and we obviously work very complementary. We only do a soft pull on credit, so I just want to make sure that all of our listeners, if you're looking to get these lines of credit, when you guys do your actual applications, those are hard inquiries. When we fund a deal, we do a hard inquiry, but when we're getting pre-approved and you want to position yourself in the right way, we only do a soft pull initially. So if you are going to be going to Eric, Nick, their team, if you want to get pre-approved with us, we will not be running your credit when we do a pre-approval. It's a soft pull. It won't affect you guys setting up these lines, because sometimes those inquiries.
When we're pre-qualifying, we're doing everything off a soft pull as well. There will be hard inquiries when we go to the end lender, but it's just to see how we can help you. We're going to soft pull it and kind of go from there.
Great. What would you say tips for somebody who wants to work with you guys? What are some of the tips that you see? I would say biggest.
Pick up the phone.
That's a good one. Start with picking up
like
the phone.
That's the best tip.
But
reach out.
Coming to you, what would be your biggest tips for people that are looking to get these lines of credit before they come to you?
So one,
get your credit right.
No, not necessarily.
No, why
because
not?
most people would have a preconceived notion of what good credit is anyway.
What is good credit?
A 680 plus, 7 years of history. You have multiple trade lines. You've used them before and have been responsible enough to pay them down without getting late payments. Like, those are the things we're looking at as opposed to just a straight 3-digit score. I always joke that like a credit score is like a snowflake, right? Like a 777 credit score could look a million different ways. So it's all about credit positioning. So it doesn't matter what your credit looks like. Reach out. We'll take a look at it and kind of tell you how you should look.
So Nick, the 777, did you ever take those lines and put it into a slot machine? Sorry, I just had a vision.
We just said we don't gamble.
We don't gamble with
the money.
lines.
We just said that. Don't be giving people ideas here.
But the one thing is, like, we're not the end lender, right? So you don't have to hide anything from us. Like, you tell us, we're like the doctor, right? So tell us what's going on. All right, what are you trying to do? Like, are you trying to get into a deal and you just don't have any cash? Does your credit suck? Like, are you going through a divorce? Or like whatever. Tell us what's going on so that we can actually figure out, how to help you. How do we plan? Not just short term, but long term as well. So like when we have that initial conversation, just kind of don't be afraid to tell us what's going on.
That's what I was going to say. Biggest tip is let us take a look.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate. Pick up the phone. How can they also find you guys?
mbcapitalsolutions.com. We'll drop something here in the. And Eric or myself will
YouTube.
comment
We're always
YouTube.
on. We're on all the podcast platforms. We'll
put it in
definitely
the show
share.
notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, we'll
Socials.
link.
Socials.
MB Capital Solutions all across the board.
Okay.
MB Mike Boy Capital Solutions. You'll be able to find us.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And you should blow them up on Instagram for their rebrand.
Mikey is pushing our rebrand. We know.
Listen,
I
like having my booth next to your booth when we do shows. And Matt won't say it in front of you, but he agrees with me. It's like he's like, it's got to look a little better.
Eric's grandfather did the marketing and the logo and made it.
I
How are you
told
going to
you.
tell him? That
Is
he
this
got
true?
Hold on.
No, it's totally not true.
I still
use that story.
This is my little
We do use
outtake
it.
before we wrap here. I was at an event with the both of you, and on my way home, I see a tractor trailer. And this tractor trailer had MB on the side of it the exact same way. You guys are not truckers.
We are not truckers. We are definitely not truckers. But we should probably reach out to that company because they're infringing upon our logo. The logo did look like our logo.
Then you saw it a few weeks
I
later.
saw
You're like,
it.
I saw it. I saw
taking
the
my son
truck.
to school. It's some freight company.
No, these guys are awesome. Check them out on Instagram. You'll learn some things. Give them a call. Sign up. Do this. Get the money. It doesn't hurt you to get this money. Yeah, it's good for you.
Who could use an extra $50,000 to $150,000? If you just raised your hand, reach out.
Unless you're young and want to go to Ibiza, and then you don't need this money.
Would you say
Unless
Ibiza or Ibiza?
Unless you're
It's
taking me
Ibiza.
with you.
Ibiza?
Yeah.
What's Ibiza? Ibiza.
No, that's like
No,
island.
that's how you actually say
It's
it. You
Ibiza.
say it with a lisp. It's like
Yeah,
a
it's
pizza.
like you gotta say
Ibiza?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Z
Not
in there.
Ibiza.
Really?
Yeah, it's not
I thought it was
Ibiza.
Ibiza.
It's
Oh,
It's
Ibiza.
Ibiza.
I just learned something. I learned a lot of stuff today.
Producer Joe, is it Ibiza or Ibiza?
Yeah, it's Ibiza. You're right. No, I know that for a fact.
We learned about Nick's your pilot episode of
We're
your,
gonna
of your
find-
I don't know
pawn
why
shop
I let that out of the bag.
The
Eric's gonna pressure me every day.
MB Mauz brother stands for MB.
Eric, you're gonna call his
I'll find
wife, and you're gonna find that DVD, and
Oh,
we
no,
are
she
gonna
can
release
find
it for the world.
It's the first text. We'll
It's your
take
wife;
it
she'll
out.
find it.
Yeah, we'll see.
And we've been asking this question recently. You guys like to play golf?
Yeah.
We have to. All four of us. We have to get out. We have to play some. Maybe even producer Joe. We'll get out. In your golf bag, what is your number one go-to club?
I'm a 5-wood guy. I like the feel of a 5-wood. I don't know why. It was one of those things like when I started
He
golfing.
loves holding
Wish I had a
wood in his
reaction
hand.
cam on producer Joe.
So
That's terrific.
when I started golfing, I was like 7, 8, and it would be in the summer when I was visiting my grandparents in Florida. My grandfather didn't golf, but the president of the condo association did and would take me. And for whatever reason, the 5-wood was the one I would hit the best every time, and it's always stuck with me ever. So there's like a little bit of like a childhood thing there.
Okay.
That's why I said
Alright.
5-wood. I don't know why you're laughing, producer Joe. We're gonna figure it out.
you for the 4-iron.
Wait, who said that?
I said 4-iron.
You said 4 hours. What would yours be?
I mean, I hit the 7-iron the straightest. The 7-iron is what I like. However, my friends say the short game. They like my pitch and my putt.
Well, Eric will putt from 77 yards out.
Yeah, from the fairway.
And sometimes if you putt, you have more accuracy than if you were to chip.
Yeah, keep me away from a driver or a 3-wood. Give me an iron. Give me an iron. High
I
iron.
won a Topgolf when we went out for our advisor day.
Well, we figured out how to win a top golf. You just pitch, just use that.
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah, yeah.
Pitch in the
Yeah,
air.
that's
Yeah, if you
Rack up
hit it,
points.
if you can hit that 70, 80 yard pitch right in the center, you get 20,
Well,
20,
if you can
20.
hit the net in the back, you get the 100 points. So just keep doing that.
I actually saw there was somebody on Instagram and he was hitting it over the net, and the manager kept coming over and he said, "Please do not hit the ball over the net. Keep it inside the net."
All right.
I wish I was that good at golf.
I mean, don't we
Oh,
all?
and real quick, Eric. I know you're a Sixers fan. Who's gonna win the NBA Finals? You got Nuggets or Heat?
I hope my team isn't listening to this. Who's going to win, or who do I want to win?
Who's going to win? Because
I
you
think
wouldn't want
the Joker's got to take it. Even I think Butler's struggling right now.
them. Okay.
I'm going Heat. I want
I'd
Jimmy
love
Butler
to
to
see
win.
the Heat.
I feel like the whole playoffs he's been playing from behind and he figures it out. And I think it's going to go 7, and I think Jimmy's going to pull it out in the end.
Okay. And are we looking at a rematch? Maybe a Phillies-Yankees World Series rematch this year?
Phillies ain't going anywhere right now. Let's talk again when we hit.
Once again,
At
don't
the end of summer, let's decide on the Phillies.
Okay.
Again, let's not use the line of credit money to bet on the Phillies.
Don't bet any futures on the Phillies right now. We'll say that.
We want
right.
to thank Eric Mauz and Nick DiFederico of MB Capital Solutions. Hit them up on Instagram. Go to their website, mbcapital.com. We'll have all their info in the show notes for you. Thank you guys so much. We're really excited to have you here.
Thank you, guys. And thank you for the pretzels.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretzels.